Thank you for joining us today on this episode of Morning Atamai. My name is Merenita Setu, and I'm currently enrolled at ACC as an Inclusive Emergency Management student. Today we have here Chief of Police, Mrs. Pou'uamea Tuaolo Supapo. Good morning, Ms. Supapo. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing this morning?
Okay.
Doing good?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for making time to join us today. So starting off today, we just wanted to know kind of more about what you do as our Chief of Police with the Department of Public Safety.
Well, actually, it's very complex because there's a lot of things as a police officer or as a chief of police. I am in charge of almost all of the division. The units are different. Like, for example, the patrol, traffic, CID, vice, community affairs. So those are all like first responders and all uniform. And I'm actually in charge of all of them.
So another question is kind of like, what steps did you take to, become the Chief of Police that you are today?
I'm not really sure about the step, but I'm when I graduated from ASCC, let's go back before ACC. When I graduated from high school, I had a scholarship. I was offered a 2-year scholarship for business at ASCC. And then my last semester, I was supposed to take an elective course. One, something that's totally different from my major. And that was an eye-opener because I picked Administration of Justice. And the only reason why I took it was because it was the only course that was available at the time that, for me to actually graduate, I need to take one elective. So that's what happened. And it opened my mind up to all the possibility out there. When I joined SEC as a business major, I was thinking more of like accounting, secretarial, all that kind of work like office. But when I took that course, it opened up my mind, and then I said to myself, there's a whole new world out there. So instead of business working and studying to become a business major, I made people my business. And that is where I come in and then I changed my major, and then I went into the program. And that's where I am to right now.
Okay, so as a fellow ACC alumni, and for me, now that I'm enrolled in our new program, which is the Inclusive Emergency Management, how do you think now with this new program, how do you think I would do in terms of, taking on a role as an emergency management at the Department of Public Safety?
You guys are lucky you guys actually have this course available. But the truth of the matter is you need to accept the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable. Okay? This is not like a breeze, you just walk in, do your stuff. No, working as a first responder and in emergency management, you have to accept the fact that you're working with people. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be uncomfortable most of the time. And you're not just dealing with people, you're also dealing with personality. Okay? And the job itself is easy, but how do you work with them, with the people? And because of the different personality because they have different priorities, like they have their own mindset on how to do things. And when you come in, because you had already the experience of actually like that course you're taking, emergency management, there's a whole new procedure on how to process stuff. And don't be surprised, you're not going to be sliding in. You're going to be facing uncomfortable feedback. And there will be people don't like change, but we need change in order for us to move forward.
Okay.
So you have to know how to deal with people and expect the unexpected, and make sure that it's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would see. So for me personally, I've always been inspired by other women, in leadership roles such as yourself. So kind of like a question, how would you kind of what would be your advice, for young women? Because I've noticed with my generation there is kind of like a fear of taking on these roles as the leadership roles because we barely see any women in leadership roles. So kind of like how would you advise us to kind of take on that challenge?
One thing you need to understand is that your gender does not stop you from getting where you want to be. It's not because you're female. But if you really look at the history of women in society, there's always two in a household. You have the male and then you have the female. And then the man is always considered the head of the family. But the thing that most people don't understand is that when it comes to managing the family, that is the role of the woman. So we can take on anything that we set our mind to it. We take care of our husband, we take care of our children, the homework, the house, the bills, everything. And our husband can only go do one thing, and that is to go work, come back, sleep, eat, and that's it. But as a woman, no. Don't put ourselves lower because we think we're just like women. No, we can do anything we want in the future if we set our mind to it. Because that was the mindset that I brought myself when I decided to join the police department. It was a male-dominant line of work. I understand that. I know what I was getting myself in. But then I always said to myself, if they can do it, I can do it. If they're good, I think I'm better. So that was the attitude, And for us women, it was hard. But I think anything is possible if we set our mind to it.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I've always had doubts, as a young woman growing up, becoming a leader is not really in my future, but hearing what you said today, it really does kind of motivate me more. And I know as an emergency manager, emergency responders, you guys go through a lot of different situations. Sometimes it does affect us mentally, emotionally, and kind of physically. So I've wondered, how does your department have any programs that kind of cater to the mental wellness within your department in terms of like situations that we've gone through in the past?
Thank you for bringing it up. It all started with the tsunami, and then the second time we came across something like that was the COVID. The truth of the matter is, mental health wasn't even something to talk about. It's then before the tsunami, it was like if you show some kind of symptoms of like mental heart, it's like it's a weakness. But evolve. People, the where we're at right now, everything is changing. Now we know that mental health is actually something that we deal with every day. You just have to know how to manage it. And if I compare what happened during the tsunami, where we were working nonstop, we were thinking about saving people, we were helping the community and all that. It's like we were giving everything to the public, but for ourselves alone, we don't know how to manage that. And that's where mental health comes in. But we didn't know exactly at the time it was mental health. And then compared it to the COVID, that was another one that really actually hit us. Because in our line of work, we're actually trained to actually deal with something that's happened, physical, something you can see. But when it comes to COVID, it's something you cannot see. And at the same time, it was very interesting because at the same time with COVID, there's so many things that comes into your mind. We live in multi-generation household. And then we have older people to deal with in our family. And it was a big concern because we're going out there in the public, working, and then it was a risk to go back home, and you don't know if you're going to bring something home. You see, that was the thing that was going through our minds at the time. But that was all part of mental health. But it was okay for other people to have the time to sit down and talk talk it out. But for law enforcement, we don't have that advantage of actually having somebody to talk to. You talk to your watch commander, you talk to your peers when you have the time. And then after the COVID thing, then everybody started taking leave, and that's when you started releasing, and started opening up your mouth. Said, I'm going through something, and it was very, very dramatic for everyone else, especially when you're trying to deal with your work, with the public. Then you go home, then you have elderly at home, so you don't know if you're going to bring something home or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's really great to hear here. Now you guys are able to kind of, look at the fact that mental health was, playing a part back then, and now we're kind of trying to figure out ways to, sesuai panatili with their mental health. So kind of moving back to what you mentioned with our vulnerable populations, you mentioned multi-generational families or households. So how does the Department of Public Safety, assist our individuals in vulnerable populations, like our elderly, disabilities, in terms of any emergency that does occur?
Whenever there's an emergency, it's not just DPS. It's a multi-agency collaboration. We all work together because that's the only way for us to actually help our community. For example, if we have elderly, and then one of the things that you need to understand is that we're like permanent fixtures in the community. Because you rarely see public works in the community, but you see police officer every day, and they're always right there. So they tend to like to identify where households and then where a lot of our elderly population are actually located. But if there is a situation, we always try to work with public works in terms of transporting them, and they're for outer villages like. Because I used to live in Pou'uamea, we normally use our police cars to actually move the elderly to a safer location. For those who cannot walk, we assist them. It's a community effort. It's not just DPS. That's where our outreach comes in. It comes to play. You have the Almanga, you have your neighbors to actually move the elderly to a higher ground. And then for those who are able to walk, they can walk. But for the elderly, because especially when they're bedridden, those are the people we try to move. And most of the time, I can identify.
Okay. So you mentioned outreaches. So kind of like the question would be, how would someone contact your department in terms of, trying to get an outreach to their village, to their community, or kind of like their school or a program that you know of?
We do outreaches, especially when we have for emergency management. But in we can set up a program for anybody who wants to come in and say like we request some kind of an outreach program for awareness, for hurricane, for whatever. All they have to do is just send in a letter. We always have a group who actually goes out and do outreach, because we understand that for the public to understand our role and what every department, all first responders, how they do whatever happens during a natural disaster. The only key thing to understand is awareness. If people are aware of what's going on and what role that the different departments play, piece of cake. I mean, it's easy to manage, Like I said, people is the hardest job, but that is our job. That is what we manage. We manage our people's safety.
Thank you so much for today. So much information that I have learned from you personally, and I hope that other people will be inspired. Other young women like myself be inspired by you. So we thank you for coming in today. Thank you for your time, because I know you're very busy ensuring our safety with the Department of Public Safety. Just to kind of close us out, one more question. So in terms of contact information, do you have a specific contact that you would like us to utilize?
There's only one contact emergency number, and police will do any is 911. Just call regardless of whatever kind of emergency it is, just call 911. one of the ladies will be very happy to actually assist you. But just to keep in mind, 911 is not information. It's not 411. It's for emergency police only.
Okay, thank you so much. So you heard it here, 911 is only for emergency purposes, not for information. So if you would like to hear more about this Chief Tuaolo Supapo, you can see her at the office in Fangtong Substation, or if you'd like to hear more about our Inclusive Emergency Management Program, please visit pchs.aimsamoa.edu or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page, Pacific Center in Human Security. Thank you.